his sideline. I know a lot of people were freaking out on Monday night because of Alvin Kamara as well, as you guys head into Fantasy Face Off right now.
Yeah, well, and isn't that the beauty of fantasy football, that it's now week 6 and we're talking about Jamal Charles and TJ Yeldon and Austin Eckler?
Crazy.
That's why this is the best. And hey, we're coming to you for our favorite segment.
Let's
It's called
do it.
Fantasy Face Off. We went to Twitter. We asked you guys at home to give us your toughest lineup debates. First up, Kay, you got to answer this one for a tweet from Terry Marks, who says, I'm a 61-year-old grandma rocking my church fantasy football.
Okay, Terry.
Hey. What's up, Terry? But I need your help this week. I've got Phillip Rivers, who's playing the Browns, and I've got Russell Wilson against the Raiders. Kay Adams, who should Grandma Terry at the church league play?
Ooh, face off. I'm going to say Phillip Rivers because he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. Russell Wilson was the #1 fantasy quarterback last season when all was said and done. He's sitting at number 19 right now, which is sort of wild. And it's one of those things that it's good for reality and bad for fantasy. The ball's been in Russell Wilson's hands like 10 fewer times a game this year. Why? Because they're running the ball more. He doesn't have to put this team entirely on his back. His rushing yards, guys, he's only rushing 8 yards per game on average this year. He was almost 40 yards a game pretty much every year he's been in the league going into this. Yes, so the newfound run game is a good thing for the Seattle Seahawks, not for Russell Wilson's Fantasy Avenue, or Value Avenue. What am I even saying?
Fantasy Avenue.
I don't know what I'm saying.
He has Avenue out there, Russell Wilson Avenue.
And I will say the Browns defense, like they've only allowed 7 touchdowns to quarterbacks, but they've allowed like over 350 yards pretty much week in, week out of late. So I'm still going to go with Phillip Rivers. I don't love the matchup. Cleveland's defense?
Defense is for real.
They're tough and feisty, and they are playing at home, but Rivers has been on fire to start the season.
I'm excited to ask you about this next player.
There you go, Terry.
Take it, Terry. And now take this, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Menton asks Deshaun Watson, who I love that we're talking about him in fantasy, against the Bills, or how about this? Jameis Winston in Atlanta taking on the Falcons. Watson v. Winston. Adams, what say you?
I feel like this is one of those, oh man, this is kind of tough. You have to play the matchup and you got to play the healthier guy, right? So Deshaun Watson dealing with a bit of a chest injury. Okay. He's being day-to-day. I don't like his matchup as much as Jameis Winston. Let us not forget, Jameis Winston was a top 5 fantasy quarterback to end 2017, and it's the people around him, not to mention going up against a banged-up Atlanta defense. This has pew-pew shootout written all over it as far as fantasy points are concerned. Jameis is going to rack up some points. Now, Deshaun racking up the yards, but he is averaging fewer than 2 touchdowns a game. I don't like the injury. And the Bills are a tough matchup. 8th toughest guys, and they've played guys like Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and Phillip Rivers, and pretty limiting to all 3 of those quarterbacks.
Okay. Take that, Jeffrey.
Tampa's season's been nuts. Remember when Fitzpatrick was unbenchable?
Fitzmagic.
I think Jameis is going to be a good fantasy quarterback. That's why I told you guys to scoop him up off waivers.
All right, I got one more for you. All right, Matt asked, Alshon Jeffery up against the Giants, of course, or Calvin Ridley against the Bucks. This is a tough one, Jeffrey or Ridley.
Crazy stat from earlier in the show that Calvin Ridley with 6 touchdowns has more receiving scores than the entire Cowboys roster. Crazy. But you have to play him because I like the matchup. I was just talking about the potential of a high-scoring affair here between the Falcons and Tampa Bay. Alshon Jeffery against the Giants. Sneaky good against wide receivers, that New York Giants defense. So they're actually allowing the second fewest points to the position. I'm not playing Alshon Jeffery, who had a lot of targets, but he only caught a couple of them. It wasn't great. So something's going on with the Eagles that I'm not quite sold on. And on a Thursday night game, I'd rather play a guy who I know is going to probably get in the end zone at least once.
I love playing a Thursday guy. Love it. To get ahead of the race. I love it.
All right, I don't know if you guys know this, but it is Mario Lopez's day of birth.
Of course I do.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's on your calendar, right? You have like, the alarm went off at 7 a.m. Mario Lopez's birthday.
Adam's apple.
Yes, the age-old question that it brings up, of course, for our final face-off of the day is AC Slater or Zach Morris? Who was the true king of Bayside High?
Well,
go ahead, guys.
AC Slater, he'd walk around in his wrestling outfit, so that just shows
you
how
called a singlet.
He's in a singlet at school. I mean, it seems like a bit inappropriate for me. You shouldn't be in high school with your nipples poking out your wrestling outfit. But I'll say this. Zach was the man. My man had a brick phone. He was a baller. He had just as many girlfriends as Fresh Prince had, and Will Smith and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
A lot of girlfriends.
And a whole bunch of girlfriends.
More than Jerry Seinfeld.
I'm going with Zach Morris. And that was a real king.
What's up here?
Going just
Do it. Right. Yeah, you're automatic cool.
Hey, Preppy.
Hey, Preppy. What's up? I can't say it to you. What's up, Mama? All right, there you go.
Yeah.
What's up, Mama? Not in today's environment, but okay, that's what I'm going with.
What's up, Mama? And hey, Preppy. What's up, Preppy?
I'm in my feelings about this one, okay? 2004, I went on a date with a nice young lady. I'm not going to say her name. She actually went on to marry an NFL player years later. However, went on a date Friday, and I thought it was nice.
Giselle?
No.
No,
yes,
it's Kristen.
No, it actually wasn't Kristen.
Oh,
she said no. She said no. Yes, she said yes. We went on a date Friday night. I thought it went really well. The next day, I called. I said, you know, I got this thing going tonight. Do you want to come out again tonight? It's a little aggressive, but I still want to. She says, I'm sick. I can't come out. I think I caught something. I got a cold.
Who is she out with?
I go out. We go to this dinner. This place on Santa Monica. I'm at my dinner with my friends. She walks in with Mario bleeping Lopez on her arm, and I was floored. And I say that out of respect for Lopez, not to disrespect. So I will go AC Slater in a runaway. She's a great girl. I haven't been in touch with her for years.
Forget about the
2004. That is the story.
How did you handle that situation?
Did you say anything to her?
She had to wash her hair.
Did you hide?
She said I was sick.
She said she was sick and she has a cold. I think she was actually even doing like the stuffy nose voice. She was a thespian at the time, so she was selling it.
I'm good at that.
You know, it feels like. I'm like, what are you saying about me? So then she goes and she sews up with Slater.
I don't care what she does. What do you do in this situation?
I was in the bag with my friends. I did not talk to her. We went on one date. It's not like she was cheating.
Did you guys see each other?
She knew you were there?
Yeah, she saw me, and she pretended like she didn't. She did the full, like, look at her BlackBerry Curve or whatever she had at the time.
Kyle was playing the top golf. What's it called? The golf game?
Yeah, I was playing shuffleboard or whatever it was. No, Peter, it was a classy place, all right?
I am mortified.
Yeah, it wasn't my best moment, but I have more respect. If she had an opportunity to go out with Mario Lopez or some loser soap actor, you go out with Mario Lopez. I don't blame her at all. I'll take the L on that one.
That's terrible, bro.
I thought it was a great date.
She lied to you, fam?
It was. I like the date. There's so many more things I want to tell you about this night that I can't say on television.
I cannot wait till commercial.
Stay in the commercial.
And
I'll tell you who it is, too.
Let's forget about it. We're going to take a commercial right now.
Golden
the Kansas City Chiefs looked more.
Go out.
Photo hunt. I played naked photo.